Thank you for warmly welcoming me today to join you virtually. It is an honor to participate in this launch of the conference with you, Mr. Prime Minister, members of the Royal Cambodian Government of Cambodia, my dear friend Yoke, Farina, Special Advisor Ndorito, Ambassador Murphy, and all of those who came today. We are here because we are all committed to ensuring that Cambodia's and the world's responses to the tragic, horrific events of the Khmer Rouge era leave a promising legacy that contributes to genocide prevention by promoting justice and addressing the ongoing and intergenerational physical and mental trauma so that healing can continue. Memorialization and education will be a critical component of this work, particularly by integrating atrocity crimes studies into the curriculum of current and future generations of Cambodian students. To quote from Yoke's article in The Diplomat last November, the future of post-conflict countries depends upon how governments and their people confront, reconcile, and move forward from their past. The survivors of Cambodia's violent past are Cambodia's greatest generation. How we all care for this generation of the 20th century will be the proof of Cambodia's commitment to its vision for the 21st century. And if I may add, it is also not only how Cambodia responds to its past, it is how we, as members of the wider international community, also respond. You are no longer alone in addressing the long-lasting impacts of the violence of the Khmer Rouge era. Members of the international community are committed to walk with you on this long journey of healing. In April 1994, spurred by humanitarian and development activists seeking accountability for the Khmer Rouge atrocities, the U.S. Congress passed the Cambodia Genocide Justice Act. Under this law, Congress urged the President to collect or assist organizations in collecting relevant data on crimes of genocide committed in Cambodia, to encourage the establishment of a national or international criminal tribunal for the prosecution of those accused of genocide in Cambodia, and, as necessary, to provide such national or international tribunal with the collected information. Yale University's Cambodia Genocide Program was selected to launch this documentation process, which led to the establishment of the Documentation Center of Cambodia, an organization that is led and staffed by Cambodians, with support from USAID and other international partners. I personally began my career in international human rights as a Yale Law student working with DCCAM, and had the honor of serving on its advisory board until I was confirmed in March 2022 as Ambassador at Large for Global Criminal Justice. I carry many of the lessons I first learned at DCCAM with me as I work to deliver justice for victims of other atrocities around the world. DCCAM's methodology and approach have inspired timely documentation of atrocity crimes in Syria, Sudan, South Sudan, Burma, and now Ukraine. USAID has strongly supported DCCAM's work over the years. DCCAM has provided over 500,000 pieces of evidence to the Khmer Rouge Tribunal, also known as the Extraordinary Chambers in the Courts of Cambodia, the ECCC, but justice involves more than courtroom proceedings. DCCAM's promotion of memory and truth are critical foundations for the rule of law more broadly and genuine national reconciliation in Cambodia. The United States is proud to have been a partner since DCCAM's inception. The international community also stood with Cambodia in supporting the ECCC, which convicted former leaders of the Khmer Rouge of genocide, crimes against humanity, war crimes, and violations of Cambodian domestic law. Over 35 countries supported the ECCC with approximately $340 million in funding. International donors also funded the ECCC's reparations projects arising from the verdicts in Case 2. Lessons learned here, especially regarding trauma-informed witness interviewing and the need for consistent psychosocial support for witnesses, have been adopted elsewhere. There are many facets to Cambodia's next phase of reconciling its past and moving forward. The archives of the ECCC are housed and accessible on the compound of the Council of Ministers. Tuol Genocide Museum and the memorials to the killing fields will stand as places for families to mourn their loved ones and for current and future generations to absorb the hard truths about a dark past. Plans for the Sluk Rith Institute and Genocide Museum, with its 24 provincial museums and specially tailored programs, will encompass a broad scope of that era's history, its crimes, its impact, its paths for recovery and non-recurrence. Genocide education will remain a critical component of a Cambodia without genocide. Now that the trial proceedings have concluded, DCCAM has turned to the imperative of genocide education. Even before the reparations were issued, DCCAM produced a valuable guidebook in 2009 to help teachers convey the history of the Khmer Rouge era. This education effort is critical to atrocities prevention, not just for Cambodia, but for the region and other countries facing their own risks of atrocities. As one of DCCAM's most memorable quotes for secondary education states, "Teaching children about the Khmer Rouge regime means teaching students the difference between good and evil, and also how to forgive. Broken societies must know their past in order to rebuild for their future." I could not agree more. In the United States, our Holocaust Memorial Museum, and like similar museums elsewhere in the world, is dedicated to the memorialization so that we will never forget past atrocities. The museum remains committed to educating young people to build societal resilience to genocide and other mass atrocities. Indeed, it is very common in American middle and secondary schools for children to read the Diary of Anne Frank. Our own Elie Wiesel Genocide and Atrocities Prevention Act of 2018 mandates U.S. Foreign Service officers posted to countries either experiencing or at risk of mass atrocities to receive training in early warning indicators, methods of prevention, response, and recovery, and appropriate transitional justice measures. One of the strongest predictors of mass atrocities is past atrocities, making transitional justice crucial to break cycles of violence. The convening of this conference and plans for follow-on gatherings in the future indicate that Cambodia is committed to a future without genocide and is committed to sharing the lessons from its past for the benefit of its people, the region, and the world. In closing, we all share a responsibility to learn from tragedy and commit ourselves to ensuring it does not recur. Though sadly, we can look at situations elsewhere today where atrocities are indeed happening, it will be through efforts such as this one that we will at least stand a chance of preventing atrocities in the future. Thank you so much for including my remarks in your program today. I hope to be with you soon in person to continue this conversation. In the meantime, all the best for your gathering.